Buenas tardes. It's Davila. Good evening, City Council members. I've reflected on what's happened since June 2nd of this year in Elgin. We have been asking for justice in the system. We are not attacking people. We are asking you to help end institutionalized racism and oppression. We are calling things by their name because they need to be called by their name. Terms like racism, institutionalized oppression, white supremacy, racial capitalism, defunding the police, abolitionist education, white supremacy should be just as popular and recognized as the police brutality that we see on TV every day. It is important to acknowledge that these walls that the City Council member Shaw mentioned before have been here all this time. It is until now that we are beginning to see that they are there, that they have been there. We did not create them. These walls that separate us were there before us, and we were educated in them. There is progress if you are able to see them now. There is progress if you feel resistance. It's normal. There is progress if this is uncomfortable for you. It's okay. We are all on a different path to understanding social justice and how we relate to it in our daily life. It is not an easy conversation. It is challenging to develop a vision of what our community would look like if the people decided who polices us and how we are policed. Do we need another DeCynthia Clemens to wake up? Do we need a local George Floyd to get to work on defunding the police department? Do we need a local case of a 6-year-old arrested by the police to find alternatives to the current system like in Florida? Whose safety matters? Whose lives are you protecting? We need to be proactive instead of reactive. We need to invest in Black, Indigenous, and people of color to become conscious educators, social workers, nurses, and school psychologists. We do not need more policing in schools. It is difficult to steer the invisible cultural and structural violence that has been sitting at the bottom of this for such a long time. Cultural and structural violence is in this room right now. Cultural and structural violence yields physical violence. If we end racism and oppression at its roots, we do not need policing. SROs need to go. Operation Homefront needs to go. It is the responsibility of the U46 Equity Director and Superintendent to get together with the equity team to give us, the community, alternatives to police and schools. It is a humbling step forward to recognize that institutionalized racism and oppression is also in schools and in classrooms, and even in educators' minds and in equity committee members. The cognitive dissonance of Tony Sanders advocating for SROs to stay in schools on Wednesday, last City Council meeting, and advocating for equity in schools on Thursday is outrageous and hypocritical. Is he thinking about the safety of all children or just the experience of his children? We are all at a different level of understanding of social justice, like I said before, and it's okay as long as we are striving to understand liberation. This feeling of uneasiness when you hear words like white supremacy and systematic oppression and abolitionist teaching, being embedded and etc., being embedded in our daily lives is a good sign that we are now paying attention. This cannot be contained any longer because children are suffering, families are in fear, people are dying, and now it is being recorded. Imagine how tired and frustrated those that are affected are, and they cannot escape it. Those words are a palpable reality for a lot of us. If you are able to shut them off and go about your day, you are privileged. When we are not hungry for justice, it's usually because we are too full of privilege. It is okay as long as you use that privilege to love and empower others that are not as privileged as you are. This makes up for fear. You do not want to lose the privilege that you have been handed. Again, this is a normal feeling, but it is not a pie.
Just because somebody else gets justice doesn't mean that you get any less. We are all connected. My well-being is your well-being, and your well-being is my well-being. The healthier a community is, the less policing it needs. That is a world statistic. We do not need to have all the answers, but we do have the resources and the power and the people willing to bring a change about, to look for alternatives that work for all of us. We demand, and I really want to make a remark on this, we demand that you hire an equity and anti-racist educator, a professional in the field, and give them the same amount of time, 2.5 hours, as you did to the Elgin Police Department to present at the previous city council meeting before you vote on it tonight. That is the least you can do if you are really committed to equity and a healthy community for all. So just to reiterate, we do not need police in schools. We do not need guns, tasers, handcuffs, bulletproof vests, and batons amongst our children. We do not need those tools of repression used on our children. We do not need Operation Homefront criminalizing children, especially children of color. We need alternatives. We need support. We need to see that the City Council truly believes that we all deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. We need the City Council to take action and actively seek to end the systems of oppression. We are going through a collective learning experience. We are being asked to think of our history and its cruelty towards people of color. We are being pushed to reimagine what our future and the future of coming generations would look like if there was equity in our society. I pray that all of us have love, empathy, and compassion in our hearts, and the vision to expand it to all residents of Elgin indiscriminately. What you are deciding in this room today has repercussions beyond what you can see. Thank you.
Thank you. Tompi Spates.